Hi, I'm Elise Brandt, an International Student Advisor in the ISSO. In this section, I'll be discussing things you need to do every semester as an Iowa State student, specifically related to enrollment, address changes, checking your immigration documents, and travel. Each semester, as you register for classes, you will need to take into consideration the enrollment rules for F1 students. F1 students must be enrolled full-time every fall and spring semester. Full-time enrollment is different for undergraduate and graduate students. Full-time enrollment is 12 credits for undergraduate students and 9 credits for graduate students without an assistantship. For graduate students with a graduate assistantship for the fall or spring semester, full-time enrollment requirements are defined by your academic department. Your graduate assistantship position will automatically register you as a full-time student with the university, and you will work with your faculty advisor or graduate support staff in your department to determine what is the most appropriate for you to enroll in. When it comes to enrollment requirements for the summer semester, for continuing students, that is students who were enrolled in the preceding spring semester, this is considered a vacation period and enrollment is optional. However, if summer is the first term of your academic program, then full-time enrollment is required. Similarly, if summer is the final term of your academic program, then full-time enrollment is also required, although most students should be eligible for a reduced course load in their final semester, which we will discuss in a later slide. As a note, students cannot count dropped courses or audited courses towards full-time enrollment requirements. This slide is intended for undergraduate students, those pursuing a bachelor's degree or a non-degree student at the undergraduate level. Graduate requirements will be discussed on the next slide. F1 regulations restrict the number of online courses an F1 student can take. F1 students are only allowed one online course, not to exceed 3 credits, to count towards full-time enrollment. Once the full-time enrollment requirement is met, students can take as many additional online courses as they'd like. If you remember, the full-time enrollment requirement for an undergraduate student is 12 credits. In the first chart, you will see this student has one online course, not more than 3 credits, counting towards their full-time enrollment of 12 credits. This scenario works and meets enrollment requirements. The bottom chart does not work, as the student is enrolled in 2 online courses toward full-time enrollment. If you recall, the rule is that one course, not exceeding 3 credits, can be online and counted towards full-time enrollment. If we were to try to work with this student to resolve the enrollment issue, they could add a 1-credit face-to-face or hybrid course to their schedule. Since most online courses are 3 credits or more, a vast majority of the time your schedule is allowed if it contains at least 9 in-person or hybrid credits. This slide is intended for graduate students, those pursuing a master's or doctoral degree, or those who are a non-degree student at the graduate level. Undergraduate requirements were discussed on the previous slide. F1 regulations restrict the number of online courses an F1 student can take. F1 students are only allowed one online course, not to exceed 3 credits, to count towards full-time enrollment. Once the full-time enrollment requirement is met, students can take as many additional online courses as they'd like. In the first chart, the student is meeting enrollment requirements. They have one online course, not more than 3 credits, counting toward their full-time enrollment of 9 credits. The bottom chart does not work, as a student is enrolled in 2 online courses toward full-time enrollment. If you recall, the rule is that one course not exceeding 3 credits can be online and counted toward full-time enrollment. If we were to try to work with this student to resolve the enrollment issue, they could add a 1-credit face-to-face or hybrid course to their schedule. Since most online courses are 3 credits or more, a vast majority of the time your schedule is allowed if it contains at least 6 in-person or hybrid credits. Again, this slide only applies to graduate students who do not have a graduate assistantship for the semester in which you are enrolling. For graduate students with a graduate assistantship position, you will work with your academic department to determine appropriate enrollment. There are sometimes exceptions to the full-time enrollment requirements that allow you to enroll below the normal full-time requirement. These are called reduced course loads, or RCLs. Regulations only allow for certain types of RCLs. Available options are academic reasons, documented medical condition, graduate level research, and final semester. Each reduced course load has a different reason for being authorized. If you are struggling academically with your classes and believe you may benefit from a reduction in the number of classes you are taking, then you may be eligible for an academic type of reduced course load. If authorized, this would reduce the number of credits you are required to take by half. However, an academic type of reduced course load requires the support of your academic or faculty advisor, and you can only use it once during your degree program. If you have a documented medical condition that necessitates you to enroll in fewer classes or drop your enrollment entirely, then please speak with ISSO about the possibility of a medical reduced course load. Graduate students engaged in research for a dissertation, thesis, or creative component whose program does not require a full 9 credits for completion are likely eligible for a graduate student research type of reduced course load. Again, this would only apply to graduate students who do not have a graduate assistantship for the term they are enrolled in. Finally, if you are in your final term of your academic program and you do not need a full course load to finish your degree program, then you are likely eligible for a final semester type of reduced course. This type of RCL allows you to enroll in only the classes needed to finish your degree. However, please note that you may never be enrolled in only online classes, so you must have at least one in-person course during your final semester. To request an RCL, you will apply in SciStart and get approval from ISSO before you drop any courses. At various times while you are at ISU, you may move from residence hall to residence hall or apartment to apartment. We will next talk about the steps you must take to report your change in address. Within 10 days of moving, regulations require that you report your new living address to ISSO. The address you report to the university must be your physical living address, as it cannot be a department address or a post office box. When you report your address change to the university, then ISSO will subsequently update the reported address in your electronic immigration record. If you live on campus or in ISU housing, your on-campus address will automatically populate in Workday, and you will not need to update anything else unless you move to an off-campus address. All address changes can be made in Workday by selecting View Profile, then Contact, then Edit, and hitting Submit to save the changes. More information about this process can be found on our website under the Student tab and by selecting the Guide to Maintaining Status tab. Throughout your time at Iowa State, you will want to check your immigration documents to verify them for accuracy every semester. One of these documents that you should verify is your I-20. You should always have your most recently issued I-20. This is the I-20 that you should use for official purposes such as travel. Please make sure that you keep all of your previously issued I-20s for your records after a new I-20 is issued. You may need these previous I-20s for future U.S. applications. Some items to verify on your I-20 include making sure that your education level and major listed are still accurate. You will also want to check your program end date. If your program end date is within 6 months of the date you checked, but you will still need more time, you will need to request an extension. The last item to verify on your I-20 is the travel endorsement on the second page. This is most important if you have plans to travel outside of the U.S. Travel signatures are valid for up to 12 months while you are an enrolled student. Another important immigration document to check each semester is your I-94. This document verifies what status you entered the country in. It is important to check all information on your I-94 for accuracy, such as making sure your name matches your visa and I-20, and the last date of entry reflects your latest travels. This document is updated every time you travel and return to the U.S. If something is not accurate, please reach out to your international advisor for further instruction. You must retrieve and print a new I-94 each time you return to the U.S. You can retrieve this document yourself on the CBP website by selecting Get Most Recent I-94, I-95. In the future, you may need to request an updated travel signature from the ISSO. This allows us to confirm that you are still an actively enrolled student and that the information on your I-20 is still accurate before you travel. There are two options for obtaining an updated travel signature. You can either bring your most recently issued I-20 to the ISSO and pick it up one business day later, or you can submit the immigration document replacement request through our online SciStart system and select how you would like to receive your new I-20. This does not apply to new students checking in with ISSO for the first time. After you complete the electronic check-in, you will automatically be issued an updated I-20 with travel signature included. However, if you will be traveling 1 year from now or more, then you may need to request an updated travel signature. When you travel in the future, you might realize that you need an updated travel signature after you have already left the U.S. This is not a problem. You do not need a travel signature to leave the country. You will just need to submit the immigration document replacement e-form in SciStart and have an electronic copy emailed to you. You must then print that I-20 and sign it before you return to the U.S.